And what is going on, everybody out there? All of you beauts and beauties. It is episode number 165 of Hat Trick Hockey, which is always brought to you by our good friends over at GL Heritage, the official beer of Hat Trick Hockey. If you like the Hat Trick Hockey merch and stuff, just smash the link on the post there. It'll bring you straight into our merch store for you to collect all your sweet HCH merch. And here, as always, with my buddy Tristan.
Yeah, sorry,
Uh,
I'm a bit out of uniform. I just
yeah,
realized that as I
cash
sat down,
one.
I was anticipating our discussion, but not the attire that matches it. But
So what's
yeah,
up,
how's
dude?
things with you? I want to open up with you. Usually we talk
Well,
what's going on with me, what's going on with Ant.
well, it was a busy weekend. We played in the golf tournament there for my friend who had passed a
Yep.
few years ago there. We got a little bit of a surprise when we got there because we had thought that it was a four-man scramble. It was
Hmm.
a two-man scramble.
Oh.
So we had to split up onto
Oh.
different teams, right? So
Yeah.
so Drew went with Chris. Terry and I golf together. My friend from work, Terry, and he fucking mashes a ball. This guy, like it's stupid. You think I hit it far? He hits it further than I do.
You can
And
crush it.
he mashes. And so me and him, I think we shot one under,
Not too
which
bad.
isn't
Right on.
horrible. I think Drew and
No.
them were a couple over, but they had uh they had a couple real bad breaks though, like bad
Oh.
hops and stuff. Like they didn't get a couple good hops. Like the
Yeah.
one Chris hit, it was like dead on with the pin. And it landed just short, so we thought he was gonna get the roll.
Oh.
It hit and like shot a different way. So we were like, whoa, because it looked like it was right at it. I didn't start good because I duffed like literally the first drive off the tee box. I hit a ground ball about 150 yards.
Sounds like me.
Okay. Yeah. So then my buddy goes up and mashes one. So then we were like 170 out.
Okay.
So I hit a 7 iron, I want to say. I
Not
hit a
too bad.
7 iron and I had us to like within 6 feet probably from like 170.
Wow. So you
So
really
it
gave
was,
it.
I don't know what it was that day. I just on the greens, I sank almost everything I fucking putted. I was dialed on the green. I don't know
That's
what the
got to be
hell. I don't know what the hell happened. All my friend kept saying is keep doing what you're doing because
yeah.
he was hitting drives. We were both hitting pretty good with our like irons, and I was dialed on the green for a while.
Yeah.
Not the whole round, but a lot of it. I was like, we had 5 or 6 birdies, I think.
Right on.
So and then we bogeyed 2 holes. That's what effed us.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, but we'll work out the kinks. Also coming up, well, September we have the 73s golf tournament since we're
Just
on
gonna
the
say
thing
like
of
coming
golf.
up.
But I have one like not this weekend coming next weekend for work too. So we're in but that
Oh,
one is a for sure a four-man scramble.
is it with with the union or
It's
what?
the Charlie Brooks tournament. So I play with well Drew and then two guys from our like area we always play together. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
So it should be
That's
interesting. So what's up with you?
nothing much. Enjoying the weather. It's been
Oh,
beautiful the past couple weeks. Like finally coming into the warm weather, and yeah, hitting the gym, working out
yeah.
pretty consistently, and ball hockey just started last week, so that's been
And
fun. I mean, what's that?
it said and
Oh yeah, we got a goal and an assist
there you
in the
go.
debut. We
Was
got the monkey off our back, so I'm not snake bit to start. We're good.
was the goal a nice one?
It's pretty nice. It was one timer, like
Oh,
cross ice feed, so
I like one timers.
it was nice. And my assist, I got to give credit to my buddy Jacob Ranny. It was right off the draw. They let me take the draw. I won the face off, and he just took a clapper from our zone and scored. So
Oh wow.
I was both in the same game. So we'll see. I hope I set a goal for myself this year. We played 21 games. I
Mhm.
want to get at least 15 goals. I know it's a high standard, but like I know I can do it.
Get those
Yeah,
shots through.
yeah, and I've learned to kind of play the game a different way because last year I was very much like heavy forecheck and a lot of hustle and like move really fast. But I realized ball hockey, you don't have to run around that much. Let the ball come to you. Make a
Mhm.
move or two if you have to, but don't waste your energy when you don't have to. So
Either
going for
dish or rip it.
yeah, exactly. Put the shots on net. Like half the time it'll go in because the goalies aren't some of the goalies aren't even goaltenders. Like we had shout out to Pat Chittle playing for us, looked like prime Dominic Hasek. It was crazy some of the saves he's making. He's flopping all around. But it's funny because you could tell
Hilarious.
at his hockey school, he probably teaches a level of goaltending, right? At
Mhm.
maybe not much, but he was playing like a 1970s stand-up goalie. Like he looked like Tony Esposito. Like he was standing up in like double pad stacks and all this stuff. It was really cool. But
I
that's fun. I'm looking forward to summer.
yeah.
Like just easing into the warm weather, and we got a bit of a cold front coming, I think, here for a few days. But I'm
Mhm.
just gonna live in the sun.
Mhm.
I got a really bright light on me right now, so you probably can't tell, but like I'm getting a good base tan for when I go to Florida later this summer. So, and then August, I'm going in Florida. My cousin lives down there. Told me it's record heat this year. It's gonna be
Oh
like
yeah.
106 the week I go, and I'm like, is that even
So
gonna be enjoyable?
so you want to record an epi poolside?
Oh, I should bring my laptop and be
You
like,
should.
hey, what's
Why
up,
not?
everyone?
Even if we're just doing an epi, you just hop on with us for 10, 15 minutes to say what's up. And yeah, we could maybe arrange, unless you want to do a
Yeah.
whole epi there. You could shoot a whole epi with us if you want to, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I probably could. Like my cousin Jeremy, he's got all the latest gadgets. Great guy. But
And he'll
let's
probably
move on.
love seeing you do it too. It's you
Oh
know what
yeah,
I
no,
mean?
he shout out to him too. He was really a competitive hockey player in his day. He played, um, I believe it's called
Hmm.
USPHL
Hmm.
or no, sorry, NA3HL, which is like junior B in the
Oh,
US.
okay.
So, but he
And
played down in
also
Florida. So,
Also, too, for everybody wondering, like, where's freaking Brett? You're gonna see Brett on the last half of the episode
yep.
here.
Yes,
So
sir.
we
Red
did get
Hedges. Yeah,
Brett.
we're gonna
So
throw it to him at the end, but
yeah, we're all a little separated right now because we all had our kind of our own things going on when we
yeah.
needed to record. So I'm shot this with you now, and then I shot that with him. So, but either way, we're gonna have the boys are all gonna be on an epi. You're gonna get all your info, all your hockey
Yep.
content. Let's get right into it, man. Let's just start off Lakeshore Smalls Cup champs, second time
Yeah,
in 3 years.
congratulations.
Um, what a run for those fellows. And I don't care what anybody says. We gave you the best go. I don't care what
Oh,
anybody says.
it's
Don't even give
obvious.
a shit what anybody says
Look at
online.
the final shots
Yeah, like
in
come
that
on.
game seven.
It's not even game 7. It's just the whole series. No one took Lakeshore to their brink like
No,
Essex did. I'm sorry.
but it will always come down to capitalizing when it matters most.
Exactly. And they
It
did. And
doesn't
I give
matter
them
how good of a
full
team you
marks.
are. Essex had probably 12 or 13 guys who have played junior B at some point on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
In Lakeshore, obviously still a lot of talent who have also
Oh,
played junior B there, but nowhere near like they have a lot of homegrown guys. You look at guys like Eric
yeah.
Bisol and Marcos Ladoya
Well,
coming up
coaching
through the
too. My
ranks. And
my God.
yeah, and GM Mark Segan, like
They're
they know
built
what
all
they're
the way
doing over
around.
there. Very, very successful organization. For I would like to say the right reasons, and that's honestly I believe they have. The Essex series, I'll be honest, that game seven, it was lucky. That is my only qualm with any of their success. That's it. But the rest of their playoffs,
Oh,
well,
they
it
were
wasn't even close. They should have, honestly, they could have swept Clarington. I went and watched the one game and I'm like, it's not even close. Like the skill level, the one team is hard hitting, physical, yeah, whatever. But when it come to Lakeshore getting the puck possession, they just go under the zone effortlessly.
yeah.
And it was boom, 3 shots on net on a shift, and it was yeah. Lakeshore, congratulations. Congrats to the guys who I know, I guess a little bit better on that team. Marco, obviously, big shout out to him, the captain of that team. Bo
Mhm.
Porosky,
Yeah,
caught
Bo,
him guy
holy shit, buddy. What a run.
just outside Essex. You know what I
Yeah.
saw he did? So they all had their playoff beards, right?
Yeah.
And most of them shaved him, but Bo just shaved everything but his stash. So he's got this awesome, like, bushy, he looks like a mountain man mustache on him right now. So, no, congrats to those guys and the Lakeshore Canadiens organization.
Hmm.
Just, yeah, you guys won it, and it wasn't close as it when it came down to it.
Yeah, so congrats, fellas. Hey, we'll see you in September.
Yeah, next year we'll see. I think I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure June 1st is when you can sign players.
Is it? Yeah.
Coming up.
Yeah, that is coming up actually
So we'll see
real
if
soon.
who knows, junior B drop downs, who's going to be Essex's 16-year-old, right? We'll
Yeah,
find that
I
all
know.
this summer.
Uh,
There's a couple kids on that AAA team that I have watched, and I think they're pretty good. One fella is I'm trying to think of his Simons.
okay.
Is his last name. I can't think of his first name. It might be Griffin or something along those lines. It's a different name. His older brother Cam plays out west in the BCHL, and then the other guy's Matt Crawford.
Is this the team coached by Zach?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
would have been the 2008
Yeah.
born guys.
Yeah, he's
All
he's
right.
got the U16 Sun County.
Yeah, yeah, and which they were very successful. I think they had three or four kids drafted from the program
I
this
guess
year.
this year coming, I was already talking with Zach, and Zach said that they're probably going to be better this year too. Like
Really?
he said he's going to
They
probably
had
have one
Eddie
of.
Hickson this year, who
I
was
know, but
pretty.
he said he's probably going to have like between last year and this year, he's going to probably have two of the best teams he's ever had. So,
Wow, that's
and
saying a lot.
yeah, and Zach knows his stuff when it comes to that stuff. So
Um,
they're going to be a
So,
wagon.
man,
Let's
what do you
hop
think?
into it. Conference finals. I know
We've
you're
got a
chomping
couple
at
of
the
good
bit.
ones.
You're chomping at the bit right
Oh,
now. Let's get right into the Dallas series because I
yeah.
know you've been following that one closely, right?
Yes, very closely.
You think all the stars
Dallas
are shining at the times when they're supposed to, or what?
Dallas has another 5 years they could go.
Hmm.
Edmonton isn't ready. When Dallas gets Rupe Hintz back, or I should say if, they've been without their first line center.
Yeah.
Imagine if McDavid's not on the Oilers.
Oh yeah, that's the series is over
Obviously,
already.
the skill
Yeah.
level, there's a large gap between
But
him and
still,
Hintz, but Hintz is still, he's a penalty killer. He's a power play guy. Like,
it's what
everything's
importance you
thrown out of
bring to
whack.
your team.
And guess what? Stars still won the last game 3-1. Jake Ottinger has woken up. I don't like that for the Oilers.
Yeah.
I said Stars in six from the start of the series. I'm still sticking with that. I think Dallas can walk in and honestly even take one on, or take both here in Edmonton because they're the best road team in the league.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
But the Oilers, I will give credit to the Oilers. They're the best special teams team in the league right now,
Oh,
too. Power play, penalty kill. They've got a lockdown. Obviously, I know you were going to say McDavid and Draisaitl. You can run all your offense through those two guys and be
mhm.
pretty set. Not to mention Zach Hyman's been on a tear. Evander Kane always
Ryan
support.
Nugent Hopkins.
Nugent Hopkins, Connor Brown scored the other night
You
against
want
the
to know who
Stars.
else has been pretty good during this run for the Oilers too on defense is Nurse. Like Nurse has been,
Yeah, yeah. Darnell Nurse has been,
everybody whined about him when they signed that big deal, but now he's actually kind of playing up to his price tag, kind of like you know what I mean.
oh,
He's in on everything. He's shooting the puck. He's like physical. He's got a couple goals. He's playing good D. Like what else do you want out of a guy? Like
I will say the best defenseman on that team, though. Well, there's two other guys who I like on that team, but Evan Bouchard,
yeah,
in my
I was
opinion, if they go on to win the cup,
might be a Conn Smythe.
I would give it to him.
Mhm.
Now, never in a million years would you tell someone 3 years ago, an Oilers fan, hey, when you guys win the cup in 3 years, it's not going to be Connor McDavid or Draisaitl. They'd be like, what?
Yeah,
Evan Bouchard
yeah.
played in London, very good player, and has really immersed in both offense and defense because he was really, really picked apart last year defensively.
Mhm.
But he's adjusted his game, and I like what I see from him, especially with his bomb from the point. Good Lord.
I think he's got what, two overtime winners?
Yeah, and every time, they'll have the shot, they'll put the gun on it now from now on.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a slap shot from the point, his is consistently over 95.
Yeah. Jeez.
And also his wrist shot the other night in overtime, it was versus Vancouver, it's the last series. He ripped it. Or no, sorry, it was the one that was scored with like 30 seconds left in the game.
Hmm.
38 seconds, I think. He scored and they put the gun on it. It was like an 83 mile an hour wrist shot.
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty
what?
hard.
You think?
Not
Goodness
bad.
great. Or maybe it was a snapper, but
Still though. It's
That's
a
insane.
bomb. It's a
Yeah.
bomb.
So, but I'm saying Stars in six. I think they can lock it down. I think they've got the star power, no pun intended,
Hmm.
down the lineup. Like your third line is Tyler Seguin and Matt Duchene and whoever else. They've got
Yeah.
Stankov and Ben. Name of good
Wyatt
player.
Johnson.
Marchment. Marchment got the overtime
Yeah.
winner the other night. He's on
Hmm.
that third line too.
He's a prick to play against too, that guy.
He's you remember you know who he reminds me of? Uh I'm drawing a blank. Oh, he played on the Bruins with their cup run until they got smoked right in the head.
Hmm.
Nathan Horton.
Yeah.
Very similar
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
Big
Kind
fighting
of do it
forwards.
all.
Exactly. I'd call it like a utility player, you know?
Yeah.
Like I guess a jackknife or Swiss Army knife kind of player.
Hmm. Yeah,
Just
for sure.
yeah. And like Ottinger. And also the shutdown abilities. I can't say this enough. The best defenseman in the
Hmm.
entire playoffs this year, I've watched him close, Chris Tanev.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Tanev gets put on Connor McDavid, doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I noticed
So
that.
the other night they got a bad matchup and he was out there when Tanev wasn't. What happened? Scored right away. The tip in the overtime. Also,
Hmm.
you see the save by Ottinger on Connor McDavid?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Woo!
Stick
And guess
save.
who else got a stick on that? Chris Tanev.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I'm telling you, man, they're just built to win the cup.
Hmm.
Period. But there's another team in the East. Actually, first of all, who do you have?
To what, win that series?
Yeah, yeah. What are you calling that
Well, I
series?
said Oilers in seven. I kind of got to
Oh,
stick. I kind of have to stick with it, so I'm not a complete mush. But yeah, I'll have to stick with it. I personally think that the Stars are probably going to win the series, but
you
I
know how
have to
many
stick with
times
my pick.
Peter DeBoer's lost in a game seven?
None. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
I think he's 8-0 in game seven, so or 6-0, one of the two. Either way,
I think he's
that's
7-0
100.
now.
Okay, that's what it was. He was 6-0 and then he won
Yeah.
that first round series. Yeah. All right, but in the East,
Oh,
another two juggernauts
yeah.
facing off. That is a good series.
You think those teams are heating up and getting mad at each other, or what?
Well, yeah, when Jacob Trouba is flying through the air like Superman with an
Yeah.
elbow at your head, what's up
Hmm.
with that? Okay, I watched the panel the other night. Sorry, this is the one time I'm disagreeing with Kevin Bieksa. That should have been a major. He is known for going for head. Remember when he almost killed Martin Necas?
Hmm. Yeah,
The
when he
last
went.
round, he went flying
Yeah.
sideways.
Yeah, head first into the boards like a dummy. And not to mention everybody's like, "Oh, it shouldn't have been," or they were arguing like major or minor on the elbow on Rodriguez or whatever,
Right, yeah.
right? So what people don't understand is to get a 5 minute major, you don't have to necessarily hurt the guy.
No,
If the intent is there, you can still get a 5 minute major. And not a
it
lot of
wasn't
people
like
get
he
that.
was tucked with his elbow into his
He was
body and clipped him.
elbow out.
He was like this.
It was clear as fucking day. Clear as
Like,
day.
what's going on, man?
That's not a hockey play. Like it's one thing if you're leading in with your shoulder and your elbow gets
Right.
up a little bit or whatever. When
It's
you're
ridiculous.
more or less clotheslining a guy with your elbow, kind of like a forearm smash, I would say, you're gonna get called. Like you're not hiding it very good.
No.
And to me, he has come completely fucking unglued right now, and all he's doing is hurting his team. And he's the captain, and you're not gonna you're not gonna help your team at all sitting in the penalty box, buddy.
I
So
always forget he's their captain.
figure your shit out.
It
Be a
should
leader.
it should be Mika Zibanejad. That guy is awesome to watch with his
Mhm.
long hair. But let's talk about how gross Alexi Lafreniere has become.
Like you said off the air, he's really starting to turn into that first overall pick. I
Yeah,
think he's just come into his own now. He's settled down. He's realized now that he's not going to be an up and down guy. He's going to be a full-time NHLer. They probably said to him, "Listen, buddy, you're going to be here. You're not going anywhere. Do your thing, play your game. You're a big body, you're a skilled forward.
he's
What are you
incredible.
doing?" Like, you know
He's
what I mean? And then
incredible.
he scores two goals on the backhand.
Oh, the one was gross.
Bar down.
Feathered
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah. That's what I mean. He's really coming into his own now.
you know who's not coming into his own? Capo Caco. He's
I
got to
know.
figure it out, man.
I think
Wasn't he scratched the other night?
I believe so. I could see them. Could you see them maybe trading him in the
Yeah,
offseason?
definitely, definitely.
Get
Because
something while you can.
he can't play on the fourth or third line. Maybe a third line is a skill role, but
Yeah.
he's proven he can't play down there. And when he moves up to the top lines, he just doesn't suit that system. And that's the problem with European players. You know who I relate him to? Certain sixth overall pick by the Red Wings years ago, Philip Zadina.
Oh yeah.
Guy who was good overseas, whatever, played good in the queue because it's a different league. Those players can um, manipulate from the outside of the ice. You know,
Mhm.
they're a outer rim player. But the problem is you can't do that in the NHL. They'll get picked apart. You're not going to be able to pass cross ice all the time. You're not going to be able to score a shot from outside of the circle. And if you do, you better have one heck of a wrister. Like
Mhm.
it's,
I feel like isn't it a little bit of a smaller rink too over here in North America?
yeah, well, I'm not sure.
But that's going to kind of restrict a
Because
little
he
bit of
came from
the.
the Finnish Liga,
Okay.
record-breaking year there. Like it was really good.
I feel like every time I see those games from overseas or whatever, it looks like the rink's always so wide.
Well, probably it's
You
probably
know
the
what I
same if
mean?
it was Leamington Olympic.
But
I
that's
think
got to
it's
mess with you
200
a
by
little bit.
85
Yeah.
in NHL, and then I think it's 200 by 100 in the.
Yeah. Like that's got to come into play a little bit, no?
Well, yeah, you got so much more room. You could
And
cut to the
time.
outside, cut
That's
around
time
players.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Time and
And then
space,
he's
everything.
coming here and the players are better, they're more physical, they're like it's you can't
And
do this with the puck without getting rocked in the NHL. It's not going to happen, especially
and
in the
there's also
playoffs.
exactly, and there's a storyline too in this series that I like. Two Russian goalies facing off against each other.
Yes. Yes.
Both being very good. But I gotta say, Igor Shesterkin's been lights out.
Breaking news.
What?
Trouba has been fined $5,000 for his elbow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Five 5 grand
I
is
can
all
be
he got.
fined $5,000. Like what's this
They
is
need to
ridiculous.
start doing what the as much as I hate it, but the NFL and NBA and all that shit, they fine not 5,000, they fine you like 25 grand.
How
Like
about this?
start hitting them more where it hurts because NHL, you don't make as much as those guys do.
It's
5 grand, he's probably handed you the cash before he left the rink. Like,
yeah, probably. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't know. I think Florida could still surge back in the series. It's only 2-1. They've got terrific defensemen. They've got Gustav Forsling, Brandon Montour, Aaron Ekblad.
mhm.
Um, Nico
Barkov has
is
been.
Nico. Okay, who is Nico Mikkola on now? Florida, or is he on the Rangers? He's played for both.
Mhm. I seen a post the other day too. Speaking of that, of both, it was showing different players throughout the years that have played for both teams.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah,
Did you
there's
see
only like
that?
one guy that's played on every single team.
It was like
Yeah, there was like Jason Arnott played for Edmonton and Dallas.
no, I seen the one. It was Rangers and Florida. So it was like Yandel, Jokinen, uh, like Yager, like it was
Well,
guys like that, right?
Yager's played on about 8 or 9 different teams.
I know,
So
but I'm just saying though. But it was guys like that. I thought it was a pretty cool post. But back to who were you saying though? Who's the
there's
guy you said?
Nico Mikkola. I'm pretty sure he's on Florida. He's a great big defenseman, but he
Let
was
me
on the
check him.
Rangers Cup run, I think, a year ago.
How the hell do you
Or is
spell
it
this guy? Oh.
or is it Ricola? He might be Ricola.
Ricola. I don't
No,
know.
I was right. Nico Mikkola. Okay, yeah, he is on Florida. I was right. And he was on the Rangers last year. Okay,
I was
that's
trying to
that's what
spell
was
it.
tripping me up. Nico Mikkola. 6'5", 206. So he's pretty slim for his height, but he's still a very big defenseman.
Hmm.
And you got Bobrovsky in net. The Panthers, if they ever want to try and go with a different goalie, they can.
Hmm. Oh, I know.
Their
And coming
backup
up,
Stuhlart's is good, and also
Spencer Knight
Spencer
behind
Knight.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah. See,
boy, Spencer Knight. Like they might trade him
why
because
wouldn't
he
they
went
at
through
this
the
point?
player assistance program. He looked NHL ready, played a full year, did great, and then they sent him back down to the AHL after, and I'm like,
Is there a team in the NHL you think that maybe he could go into even as a backup role if he was
Oh
traded?
yeah.
Like who?
Well, think about any young team in the league who's lacking a goaltending prospect.
Leafs?
Montreal. Oh yeah, the Leafs, but he wouldn't go to the Leafs. No, forget that. I'd go to Montreal if I was him. They have a young rebuilding core. He could be the face of their franchise. Because who do
Yeah.
they have in net right now? They got Primo and Montembeault. Both
Hmm.
of which, whatever, they're fringe starters, but they're not going to be your guy long term. I think
Yeah.
Spencer Knight could be a perfect fit there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And the
wonder.
Leafs, I'm tired of every single player is available, and they're like, "Oh, the Leafs could trade." Like Marty Necas has now been made available for trade, and everyone's like talking about where he's going to go. I think Detroit can take a run at him. Then again, that's my bias, but I think a lot of teams can take a run at him.
Mhm.
Philadelphia. Oh, did you hear? Okay, this is really big news. Philadelphia just found out Matvei Michkov, who's having a record-breaking year right now in the KHL. Remember, I was talking all about this guy last year at the draft,
Yeah.
like generational, like better than Nikita Kucherov. Like this guy's going to score 60 goals in a season.
Yeah.
He's coming over next year.
Yeah. He's coming to Philly, right?
KHL is terminating his contract so he can come play.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, that's good news for the Flyers.
Oh, Philly. Well, the Philly can rebuild like this.
And they got that goaltender too, right?
Ivan Fedotov, yeah, 6'8". When he
So
kneels
that
down,
means
his shoulders are at the post.
Torts is going to be like creaming his jeans over there with all these new guys coming
Yeah,
in,
it's
especially with this kid coming in, man, because he's
yeah,
greasy,
yeah.
greasy
Oh,
sniper.
his shot
Like,
is nuts. His
yeah,
snapshot, you can score from anywhere. You watch him and you're like,
it's nuts, dude.
he's generational. He could become just as good as Bedard. Blackhawks fans will
Hmm.
be like, no, yes. In
Who?
fact, I think he'll have more goals by the end of his career.
Yeah. What do you think about the Marner situation right now? Now that we've kind of sat back for a couple weeks and
I could see, I mean, think about it. Arizona just moved, and they were told by the ownership group that they'd be willing to spend right to the cap and make big moves to make the team competitive.
yeah, right away.
Eyes on the market. Why not trade for a guy who's had 100-point seasons? Like, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think personally, I think the front runner is going to be a team like Nashville.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
want to
they
know,
just
you
cleared
know
space.
where this is going, right? You know who'd be
No.
going back the other way from Nashville? I could see a guy like Saros going to Toronto
Oh,
because Toronto is in need of a
yeah.
goaltender.
And not only that, Nashville has a goaltender who's been in the AHL for the past 3 years, dominating it, named
So
Yaroslav Askarov,
now
who's
might
been
be the
waiting to come up, and he
now
honestly could become a
yeah.
starter. So.
So now might be the time to make a move. And you can probably, when it comes to the Leafs, not only could you get a starting goaltender, you could probably get a couple draft picks and maybe another NHL ready player. What
I
I
could
would
see.
do is I would get the goalie and one guy on D, an NHL ready defenseman, and then maybe a
Oh,
draft pick.
okay. Well, there's
Because
a guy.
Marner's worth it, no? Wouldn't you think so? Like he's gonna add
Yeah,
value
yeah.
to a franchise right
If
away.
I if I'm, I would do a skilled forward maybe. So for some depth, a young guy. And you're saying a D man. I'm trying to remember. Did they draft Carson Lambos? No, that was Minnesota. Well, I'll tell you a guy they could get from forward is Jussi Parsonen. You might remember him for scoring between the legs in overtime and then doing a
Yeah.
shrug celly.
Yeah.
That guy could go to the
Whatever.
Leafs. I remember him with like if he could play with Matthews. Also, I saw another thing that Shanahan had mentioned, like it's very unlikely that the core four stay. So we'll see. One of them's got to go. Who they're not trading Matthews. They just
No.
re-signed him. Tavares contract unmovable. It's one of Nylander or Marner. Marner makes the most sense. What's he got? 3 years left?
I think
Two?
less.
2 years left
Might
on that deal?
even might even be one. Like he's coming near the
Oh
end of
yeah,
his
yeah, you're right because he's eligible for extension. So
he's
next
yeah.
following summer.
Yeah, so he's coming into his last year of his deal. So why wouldn't you trade him while you can? Because let's face it, do you really think he's going to re-up there after all this shit's gone
He
down?
said though that he's not going to waive his move clause. He wants to stay in Toronto long term. So
Yeah,
now
but
what? You're
Well, if
having a
they don't,
Mexican
well,
standoff.
if they don't want him, they got to let him walk. But isn't would he have to submit a list?
No, his is a full no movement clause.
Full no
Like,
move. Like,
don't
wow.
trade me.
So he would have to waive it.
Yeah, and he said he doesn't want to. He says I want to try and take like a run at getting a contract renewal, and it's like
I bet you his agent's probably like, "You're beating a dead horse, bro. let's
I
let's
think
get out of
I think
here."
Stamkos hits the open market.
Mhm.
But do you think Patrick Kane does?
Yeah, yeah, I think he will. I hope he doesn't. I think he will to maybe just see what's out there.
And but
But
like
the thing is, though, is the Red Wings probably can't really give him what he wants, though.
yeah, well that's the thing. He wants term, and Eiserman hates term for old guys. Ironically, he gave it to Andrew Kopp, which that one
But if
I
I'm
want to have, I
Stevie,
want to
like,
have a long conversation with Steve Eiserman about the Andrew Kopp signing.
but if I'm Stevie, like, I could look at Kane and be like, "Listen, I'll give you a bridge deal. I'll give you like a 3 year deal, like a 3x4 or something."
Even three's a little long. Because what happens if all of a sudden you just, oh yeah, I tore my hip again, and then you got that contract on the books. Obviously, it's LTIR, but that still
Well,
is
it's better than some of the other fucking ones we've had on the books. The ones that Holland had on when Stevie came in here. Are you kidding me? It was a
just an
nightmare.
applicator.
This would be nothing. This would be nothing.
Don't even remind me of just an applicator. I'm
Okay,
gonna
so
start
then
going into a
if it's a money and term thing, so would you give him
2 years, 5 mil.
two I was just gonna say that exact number, 2x5.
We've got cap space. We can overpay to keep him. He
But
is
now,
worth it.
is there anybody that we're eyeballing in free agency that we would want to
Maybe
sign or
Sam.
maybe make a trade or
Here, let me have a look here. Let me have a look. By the way,
we need defense.
going back to that Rangers versus Florida series, I said Florida in 7. I gotta stick with it. So
I think I said the same thing, didn't I?
yeah, you did. So I'll look up the 2024 free agent list because I do want to see. Oh yeah, that's right. Elias Lindholm never re-signed,
Oh, okay.
right? No.
I'd like to see
Jake
Detroit.
Gensel never
Yeah.
re-signed.
I'd like to see the Red Wings build the blue line though.
That's the problem. There's not. Oh, Sam Reinhart.
Nail
The
gun.
Florida Panthers still have.
I
Florida
think
Panthers still have yet to re-sign him.
I think Florida's gonna re-up him anyways.
I mean, you're. Oh, Teuvo Teravainen is a guy who I could see the Wings going after. Playmaking left winger. If Kane leaves, Teravainen's a great second option.
Mm-hmm.
Brady Shea is available. Alec Martinez, isn't he from Detroit?
Isn't he like 74 years old?
36. Could bring him in on a 1 year bottom pair D, trade out Petrie for a
It's
bag of
like
pucks. I don't
that's like me skating out there.
know. TJ Brody, wouldn't want to touch him. Victor Olofsson, another scoring right winger. Chris Tanev.
Now that I would take. I would take
I
that
think that
one.
Stars will re-sign him
Yeah,
after this playoff run, especially if they win the cup.
but still, I would take him.
Hronek has yet to re-sign. I think he
Maybe
might be RFA though.
maybe bring him back. I didn't mind him when he was with the Wings. He had
Oh,
a
he was very
bomb.
good
He
actually.
had a bomb from the point.
There's a few guys. Oh, Gosh Despair, our own guy. He should be another pry. I think we should re-sign him just
Yeah,
for like 1 year.
yeah, I didn't mind him.
He was good. He saved our season. Don't you say you didn't mind him.
No,
Shane
I
Gosh
know. Oh, when
Despair,
he
the
jumped
hand
up
of
in it,
God.
it
When
was
he reached up, oh my gosh.
Air Gostisbehere, like he was signed by Nike.
Yeah, yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was a
Oh.
sick play.
And David Perron is a free agent on our part too. I'd let him walk because of the age, but he also saved our season against Montreal. Scored with what 3 seconds left or
Then it's
something.
gonna be it's a 1 year deal, and you're gonna take less. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just say we have to clear cap to get these younger guys. We still have to sign Raymond on a max deal. We still have to sign Mo Sider on a max deal. You know what I mean? If you want to
Yeah,
sign
I don't
Kane
know if
still,
we
you
max
still
deal Raymond. I don't
why?
know. But he proved himself this year.
I would give him
I
at
pray
least
he asks under 10 million.
I would give him at least a 5 year deal.
I would go. I think
Sider's getting 8.
8 by 8, I think is appropriate.
Sider's getting 8 years. Like
Yeah,
it's
probably
I
closer
don't
to 10
care what
million.
Sider's getting 8.
He'll
And
probably
Cider,
get
you
a
might see
comparable.
that 8-9 million range too on Cider.
Yeah, what's his name would have been an option this offseason too on D, but I think he got re-signed in Vegas, Noah Hannafin.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I wanted the Wings to get him at the deadline.
yeah, unfortunately, Yzerman stand. I'm kind of happy we stayed put because obviously, even though we finished with more wins than the teams below us, we somehow still missed, and that would have been looked pretty dumb,
Hmm.
especially if he was only a rental. So, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for what I had to cover. I think. I mean,
Yeah, man.
playoffs are terrific. I think Dallas versus Rangers would be terrific.
Hmm.
Um, that would just be an ultimate showdown because they are virtually identical. Deep forward group, solid defense. I would give the edge to Dallas on defense, and then in net, I'd give the edge to Rangers. Shesterkin has played a little bit
Yeah.
sharper than Ottinger. Ottinger, though, that save on McDavid, like Ottinger's that guy in overtime. I'd want him in my
Mhm.
net over anybody else.
But defense wins championships, and Dallas has better defense.
Oh, they've got
Like,
oh my gosh,
so I mean,
they're still missing one of their defensemen.
I know.
Lundqvist has had to play, and they only play him like 6 minutes a
Hmm.
game. They're basically rolling 5D.
I,
They're missing Hakanpaa. The
mhm.
great big guy, like
Yeah.
6'8". Yeah, he has yet to come back. So
Everybody, you need to be tuning into these playoffs if you're not watching because it's down. We're down to the final four teams here. So
and honestly, I'd be except for the Oilers. Well, eh. I'd be excited for any one of them to win. It's just like I don't like the Oilers. I
I
think
wouldn't mind seeing McDavid
yeah,
raise
but
one.
but it
He's
would
got to
be
raise one. He's got to
to
raise
me, it,
one.
it hurts when two guys can carry a team versus other ones are like an actual team. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And also, Corey Perry is on the Oilers. I just remembered that. Remember because he got traded from the Blackhawks?
They've been health bombing him though, haven't they?
They have?
I know the one game. I'm pretty sure he was a healthy scratch.
Oh, I was unaware. But thank goodness the Bruins are out. Can't stand them.
Tell us how you really feel. Do you hear what fucking Marchand said too after he got that shot? That little like cheap. I give full marks to Marchand because he said in an interview after that or whatever.
Yeah, didn't he say like, oh, whatever it happens?
He said pretty much for the injuries that I've caused in this league and stuff. He's like, you think I'm gonna sit here and complain about that and whine to the league about me trying to get a guy kicked out when all the stuff that I've done, all the antics that he's like, nah, he's like, whatever. Like he just kind of took it as whatever
Props
it
to him. There
as
you go.
it is what it is. You do on to you as they or do on to others as they do on to you, right? So
I guess so.
hey
I
man,
don't know if that's the quote, but
it couldn't happen to a better guy though. Let's
yeah,
face it.
no, fair
If
enough.
that's
Yeah,
like
it was deserved. It was deserved.
Pasternak or someone getting that, then okay, then we're gonna have an issue because Pasta doesn't really get into too much shit. But
Except when he threw hands, that was funny.
well, hey, I love that to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
we already talked about that last episode.
Alrighty.
But all right, is that all, my friend?
I believe so, sir.
Okay, so now we're gonna throw it on the back half of the episode with
Yep.
Brett. Um, like I said, Tristan had some stuff going on last night, so it was just Brett and I on this, and we talked Windsor Spitfires. So we're just gonna flip it over to him. So enjoy, guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Have a good one.
Well, comes to the part of the show where we are gonna bring in the new guy. We're calling to the bullpen. Bringing in the new guy. We got Brett with us. Brett, what's up, brother? You're gonna essentially be our Windsor Spitfires. Like you're dialed in on the spit. So, and we don't
Yep.
talk enough about the spits, and that's one of the issues that I thought we had with the shows because I'd be out and everybody be like, yeah, like you're awesome with the 73s and you talk this and you talk that, but they're like, we don't really hear too much about the OHL. So we had to address this issue. And
Yep.
then we recorded the episode with you, which was fantastic, by the way. And then
Yeah, it was
it
fun.
was just like, how do we not have this guy on the show with us to
Yeah,
do
you
this?
drive a hard bargain, my friend. I want to.
Yeah.
I feel bad for all the empty cans that went into those conversations. So
Yeah, it wasn't too well over the like winter too when we were in the room and stuff like that. It was because I had been talking to you about coming for this has been a while.
Yeah, me and you got in touch again in like October. Obviously, we know each other, we grew up together and everything like
Mhm.
that, but we didn't really chat about content, uh, generating any content until me and you played some Sunday afternoon hockey. So
Mhm.
we can all thank Glennie Ray for that. So let's just
Yes.
give her a round of applause for Glennie
Yeah.
Ray for getting this all
Man, you
together.
absolute beauty.
Absolute beauty. So, yeah, man. Me and you talked because I obviously knew that you were involved with the 73s, and
Mhm.
me and you had some good chats about when you guys were going to start PJHL.
Yeah.
And that was a really big step for the Junior C League and the PJHL as a whole to get that kind of platform for their players and for their fans too. And I think that's really important for the growth of the game. We always talk about, wanting to pack the arenas and stuff, but to be able to provide a solid live stream like that and to
Oh
be
yeah.
able to, let people watch from wherever they can get internet, that's really important for your hometown teams as well. So
For sure.
looking forward to seeing where that product can go and
Mhm.
see how you guys make it a lot better. I was your backup pitcher. You had me on the clock a couple times, maybe thinking that you needed me to fill in, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
Which you're still going to be with us in that aspect too. Like there might be times where,
Yeah,
so the plan was to, for me essentially, and this is kind of the fans too getting a little bit of a inside look on how things kind of work, is essentially I wanted to make a team of four of us,
yep.
just so this way, if anything happens, we can always make sure that there's always a few of us at the game. Because
Yeah,
you
and
and I work
like,
opposite shifts right now
mhm.
and stuff like that. And, like Tristan's in school and Jonesy's coaching and stuff like that. So it's you know what I mean? So that's is why adding you not only to the show to do your thing on what you normally do,
Yeah.
and not to mention you have the broadcasting background and everything. So it's like
Yeah,
it's a
we put
no
together
brainer. It's a
yeah,
no
we put
brainer.
together the cover letter there for my intro with the group, and I was realized like, oh, I guess I have done quite a few things
Yeah.
in there, and there's quite a lot that I didn't post on
Mhm.
there. Like I've
Mhm.
hosted I was one of the social media managers from the team, hosted the Memorial Cup in 2017.
Mhm.
Later that year, I hosted the FINA Short Course World Swimming Championships that were in Windsor that year. And then later, I want to say later that summer, I hosted the FINA diving that was in town too. So when I look back at it, I've done quite a few things, and I'm looking forward to adding this to my repertoire as the
Mhm.
OHL guy. And believe me, Anthony, you've got a great breadth of knowledge in the PGHL, but I think it's time for you to sit down and learn sit down by the learning tree, and I'll
I'm
teach you a
not,
little bit about the
no,
O.
I'm going to sit right on your lap. It's right on your lap. That's how it goes. So, brother, let's do what we got you here for, man. Fill us
Yep.
in. What's the latest and greatest with the Spits here?
Okay, so obviously the Windsor Spitfires are in their off season right now. We have the CHL Memorial Cup going on, and in my opinion, it's probably going to be London that takes home that title. We'll check in maybe next week to see how the end of that tournament goes. But if you're going to be as successful as London or like Saginaw for hosting, and they're looking pretty good right now in the tournament, it all starts in the draft. And this past couple weeks ago, the Windsor Spitfires really, I feel like they put together a really solid draft by Bill Bowler and Frank Avola, like all their scouting staff and stuff. Particularly, I want to talk about the top three draft picks that they picked up because those three players have already signed their intent. They've already signed their OHL contracts, and that's a big step because all these kids have so many different options of where they can go play that you really don't know who's going to show up. And
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different situations where first round picks don't want to report to their team that they get
Really?
drafted to. Like that's how a handful of years ago, that's how Windsor picked up Logan Brown because he didn't want to go to the team that he got drafted to. They ended up working a trade with that team, and he ended up playing with the Windsor Spitfires, and he had a really
Wow.
good career, obviously,
Yeah.
with them, and ended up winning a Memorial Cup. So first and foremost, them signing their number one overall pick, number one, round one, pick number one,
The
Ethan
big
Belches,
dog. The
the
big
big
dog.
dog. Yeah, we'll find an appropriate nickname for him
What's
as
his
his
name
career
again?
goes. Ethan Belches. So it's Ethan, ETHA I know you're familiar with that name.
Yeah.
And Belchez is Belchetz. So as far as I know, the T is silent right now. So
Mhm.
Belchez is what I've been given. And this guy is a horse. He is 6'5" and he's 230 pounds, and he just turned 16.
Two
So
6'5", 230.
six
That's
five, 230.
16.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it was funny when because he got introduced at a press conference the day before the draft, the OHL draft. And he did a press conference, they said, oh, he's going to be the first overall pick, that kind of thing. And he just towers over Bill Bowler. And it's just like, it has to mean good things. Like when you look at the stats that this guy puts together in junior, it was 38 goals and 44 assists, I want to say. And so he had 82 points in like 35 games.
Wow.
And it's just silly. And like, he took his team to the OHL Cup and they won the Ontario Championship for the U16 AAA teams.
Hmm.
They won that. He in 7 games he had 5 goals and 7 assists for 12 points to win MVP of the team. So, I haven't seen him play yet. Like I looking forward to seeing him play at like training camp. He did come to development camp, like the orientation camp, and that's where he signed his OHL standard contract and stuff. But I'm looking forward to seeing him, play in regular camp and see just how
Hmm.
impactful he can be in his first season. Like in sometimes kids when they're that age, they take a while to get accustomed to the game, the OHL
Yeah.
game. It is bigger, faster, stronger than a lot of other leagues that go on. And one other player that we drafted did talk about that a little bit, why the OHL is a little bit better than the Q in his opinion. But yeah, Ethan Belchez, that's somebody that's gonna be able to sell some tickets, and I think he's gonna fill the net. If he gets on a line with, say, Liam Greentree's playing on the wing, and Belchez is in the middle, I think that's a deadly combination that could combine for some big goals.
So what's this guy like on the like physical aspect of it? Like, is he very physical? Is he fighting once in a while? Like, what's he doing
Um, I
here?
I didn't take a look at his PIMS. I did not see if there's any fighting majors or anything like that. But when you're that size, you have to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah. I
And I
was
feel
just
like,
I was just saying in the aspect of if he plays on a line with, let's say, Green Tree, that he's going to allow him to get a little more ice,
yeah,
essentially, right? Because he's got the big dog with him, right?
yeah. Who knows what the dynamic between him and those teams are? I guess that's gonna have to be all ironed out in training camp. But the Windsor Spitfires also still need to hire a head coach as well. So there's a lot that's going on in that category right now too. That won't be decided and probably until July.
Any
Um,
names you think are in?
I haven't heard any specific names right now. Before we recorded, obviously it was reported that Mark Savard and the Calgary Flames had parted ways, but it was also reported that there was no chance that Mark Savard was going to come back and work in junior.
Yeah, he's going to
Um,
Toronto, I think, personally.
yeah, and exactly. He was linked to going to Toronto or another job in the league. He has worked with Craig Berube before as a power play specialist, and I guess when he was with Berube, they won the cup
Hmm.
and they had the third best power play in the league. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if Craig
Yeah.
Berube wants Mark Savard on his bench, he's going to get him, and Savard is highly deserving of that opportunity. So the fact that it was mutually beneficial, like it was a mutual agreement for him to part ways
Yeah.
with Calgary, just lets him know that hey, he's got another job. He's got another job on the way, and he just wanted to be respectful on his way out, kind of thing. So,
Is there anybody you think? Is there anybody that if you just had to guess? Is there any names that you would kind of throw into the ring on the job here in
mm,
Windsor?
um, I haven't heard anything for sure, but if I was that now this is just my speculation. Like if I was the Windsor Spitfires, one person that I would absolutely give an interview to is Anthony Iaquina of the
Yeah,
Lakeshore Canadiens. Like
absolutely.
if he's not a candidate for the head coaching job, I would 100% think that an assistant coaching job what might be up for him. That's just me speculating. I have not heard anything or anything
Yeah.
like that, but the success speaks for itself.
for
And
sure. And
so
he's with their one of their farm clubs, essentially.
exactly, it's the same organization. Windsor Spitfires, LaSalle Vipers, and Lakeshore Canadiens are all have the same ownership group, and so I'm sure they share certain philosophies and stuff. And I'm sure that the fact that the person that's working your junior C club has won the title the last 2 of the 3 years is an impressive stat. So I would at least invite him in for an interview if that was my decision.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
that's where I would go right now. That's just the one name that I would throw out there,
I
but I
never even
have
thought
not.
about him.
They've kept this pretty tight-lipped. I have not heard any name
Mhm.
or
Could
any
you see
front
a
runner
guy
right now.
possibly another guy getting an interview, a guy like Mark Rideout?
Yeah, absolutely. If for the Windsor Spitfires, you have to cast a wide net to be able to catch the best candidate. So if depending on where those people
I'm just trying
where
to
they
think who
are.
else is out there.
Yeah, and I would have to think that Casey Torres, who was the interim head coach after they let go of Jared Smith, I would have to think that he is at least deserving of a chance to
Yeah, for sure.
take this team for a full year.
Hmm.
I don't know what that would look like contract wise or whatnot because he did come to the team as an assistant coach. I don't know if that would change his contract situation if they would have to be upgraded or not. But
Or renewed or
they've said good things about Casey and they have been really tight-lipped about what they're going to do with the head coach. But it kind of always works out this way that when they don't really say anything about what they're going to do, and then when it's time for a decision, they call press conference right away and they
now.
announce it. So
Now, if you had to guess, do you think they're going to go with somebody new, or do you think they're going to let Casey kind of resume the role and drop the like
I could I
interim
could see
tag?
them, yeah, I could see them going with Casey Torres again, and because they have Chris Newberry, who's an assistant coach with the team
Mhm.
too. I don't know what they're gonna do with the rest of the staff too, because they needed a couple more people to round out their staff. I'm sure they're looking for a full-time goaltending coach, maybe someone to help them out
Well, the thing too
on the
is they were
defensive side.
scoring a shitload of goals at the end. Like they were in games
Mhm.
at the end, so they were playing well under him. So I don't know why you wouldn't at least give him a shake at the start of the year to see what happens.
Yeah, and it seems like Casey has built up quite a few strong relationships down here too. He's well connected throughout Ontario. He's from the Kingston area, so he does know
Mhm.
a lot of players and coaches up in that area. He coached in Hartford for the Pittsburgh Penguins farm system there in the AHL. He was with the Pittsburgh Penguins as a scout years ago. And so the guy's got tentacles in a bunch of different places. So I could see them saying yes to Casey Torres being the head coach, but I could also see him being the lead assistant for anyone else that came in
Mhm.
that has maybe just a little bit more experience at a higher pro level as a head coach. So,
Mhm.
for example, like say for any reason, say Rocky Thompson or something was not coaching in pros right now. If he came back to come coach for the Windsor Spitfires, then yeah, you could see Casey Torres filling in as the
Mhm.
assistant coach there. But if there's not anyone there that has as good or a better resume than Casey, why not give him a shot at the head coaching spot?
If you had to say okay, before we kind of move on from the head coach, would you, okay,
Yeah, this was not part of the
yeah,
run
I
sheet,
know
but
it was not, but it fell into a good conversation.
yeah,
So pick one guy who you would think who's your horse for that job, your dark horse who you think could just to me, like, because I never even thought about it, mine's Coach Q. Like I never even thought about Anthony Iaquina.
yeah. When after we had talked the other day, because the Lakeshore won, obviously, in their championship, and I can't wait to hear what you and T have to say about that. But I was just even like on the drive home, I was thinking, I was like, maybe this could be like the path that this guy takes to becoming, a higher level junior coach, right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't see why the path wouldn't be there for him to grab one of those spots.
Like
And
he should be okay going right from C right up to the O, right? Like there's not much of a jump, is there? Like from
I
C to
mean,
B, right? Like
no, in terms of skill level, I don't think there's that big of a gap you see guys going down from junior A or OHL down to junior C in their
Yeah.
overage years. So
Yeah.
because sometimes the math doesn't work out in their favor and they just end up on the outside looking in,
Hmm.
and they're too old to go play junior B, so they go down to junior C. So there's not that much of a talent gap there. In terms of Coach Q's ability to coach, I don't know the man personally. You know him better than I
Yeah. He's
do, but
awesome. Love him. Love him.
obviously
Love him. Love
he's
him.
a solid leader of men. If he's
Hmm.
able to put together two squads in the past 3 years with only a few athletes that carry over to both of those
Hmm.
teams to win. So he would be at least getting an interview in my
For
book there.
sure. Yeah. Great call.
We were talking about OHL draft picks, and so Windsor had three of the top 25 draft picks in the draft. Right, they had the number one overall, and then they had the first overall in round two, and then the third overall in round two as
So what
well.
did
So they
we
had number
take? So
22 and number 24.
okay, so we took a forward, which was the first overall pick, right? He plays forward.
Yes. Yeah, he
Did
plays center. So Belchez
okay.
is a center. So at number 22, we took a guy named JP Lemieux, and he's from Quebec, but he moved to Ontario 3 years ago. And he came down to Ontario to play because it's a more physical league. He wanted to play in the OHL.
Yeah.
And it's a more physical league, and that kind of suits his game better. He's more of a grittier forward, but he does have the ability to finish. He played in Kingston and in Quinty, and he played under Chris Newbury, which is the
Oh,
Windsor
okay.
Spitfires
Sweet.
assistant
Yeah.
coach. So there's the tie-in there. Um, from what I read, from what was reported, Chris was pretty happy that JP got drafted to Windsor. He's obviously got familiarity with the young man, so I think
Mhm.
that's going to be a solid piece. They did. He's forward, so I'm assuming that he could play either wing or the center spot, depending on what you want to do. He is a little younger because he has not turned 16 yet, but I don't think that's going to be a factor. So it could be maybe he spends a little bit of time in junior B, but I don't know. They could just keep him up with the club, the big club, the entire time,
Yeah.
depending on how he transitions
Is he a
there
winger,
too.
center? Like, where does he play?
I didn't see. I know that he plays the forward spot, so I'm gonna assume that he plays both center and wing because
Okay.
he would have been a center on his U16 team. So
So is this a guy we're gonna probably slot in? We're talking like second, third line type deal.
yeah, like depending on where Jack Nesbitt, where he comes along in his development, and like AJ Spells, he's been playing center as well for Windsor. So you could see it being Spellacy and Liam Greentree on the top line
Mhm.
or maybe Ryan Abraham playing in the middle on that
Yeah.
top line with Spellacy and Greentree. Just depends on what they want to do, spreading out the offense there. Because I think Spellacy is going to have a really, really big season. So I think he's
Beautiful.
going to be a big factor in that in
Breakout
the
year.
decisions. For sure. Like this past year, he had 21 goals and five were shorthanded. So
Mhm.
Spellacy, I think, is a great candidate for increased ice time and special teams play and stuff. So I feel like if you've got those guys, then at least you've got two or three of your center spots picked out already. And with if depends on if more Noah Morneau gets an overreach spot, that's a
Mhm.
fourth line center there too for you.
You have to figure too, there's going to be a lot of newer guys on this team. There's a lot of opportunity this year on the Windsor Spitfires.
Of course, yeah, and
Like,
a lot of that.
that's good though, because now
No,
guys are going to go balls to the wall. Like, this is what we need. This is how you
mhm.
start a rebuild.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that because they got the number one overall pick, like their window to win has now opened, right?
Yeah,
They've
it
got,
speeds it
I
up.
think in the next 2 years, I feel like they really do have a chance that they could, put together something significant here and maybe go on a run.
Hmm.
But that just depends on how these teams play together. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Belches will have this rookie year, and the next year after that would be his draft year. And you don't know if he's going to be able to come back to the OHL. Some people are thinking that he's only going to play 2 years and then he's gone. He's going to be like Wyatt Johnston. He's going to be
Yeah.
playing either in the AHL or making the NHL based on, there are certain parameters and certain contracts that keeps
Mhm.
kids
Of course.
up
Yeah.
with the big club due to their age and things like that. So
Mhm.
it could be a situation where you only get Belches for 2 years. And if you do that, then you would have that aligned up with Liam Greentree's career too, because he's got at least 2 more years with the Windsor Spitfires as well. So
Yeah.
if they can put together a solid defensive core and maybe a little bit of help in goal, then I think that they have a really big shot. And their number 24 pick overall, their third pick out of the top 25 was a defenseman, and I feel like he's going to help them out a lot. His name is Carter Hicks, and he
Is he
is
big?
he's pretty big, about 6 foot, and he is a solid player. He was the captain of his U16 AAA team. He played for the London Junior Knights, and there's a funny video on TikTok of them watching the draft with Carter, a bunch of London Knights players. He
Yeah, I seen
his
that. I seen that.
his
Yeah.
yeah, his parents, well, his family billets a couple of London Knights. It was Michael Simpson, and I forget who the other player was, but they like a bunch of the players were over there celebrating with him. So it just goes to show like the kind of guy that he is, to have that kind of support from so
For
many
sure.
different players, even if it is to your rival team. Like they were still excited for him to get drafted that high. So I feel like he's going to help out a lot as well. He's going to obviously, as a rookie defenseman, he's going to play in their bottom four pairings
Mhm.
right now.
For
But if
sure,
he
yeah.
gets better, really quickly, I don't see why he couldn't be playing top four defensive pairing
He'll be like a Mo
minutes.
like cider for us essentially, just
I
right up
sure hope
there.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me just look up his stats real quick. So
Is he offensive? Is he more
He
defensive?
had
Is
he
he
had 25
physical? Like
points. He had 25 points in 30 games with his
that's pretty
team.
good.
That's pretty solid for a defenseman. So he is 6 foot, 160 pounds. So you might want to put on a little bit of weight if
Mhm.
he wants, just because you have to deal with the physical toll that's going on in the OHL. But the evaluation with him was that he could potentially be a top four D man who plays in all situations. So if you get that kind of grade coming out of the draft, and you're a defenseman that, like, Windsor didn't need to take a defenseman that high in the OHL draft, but they felt like his talent was too high to
Well,
pass up
yeah.
on.
And you got to
So they did it.
build too for the like future too, right? Like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you got to look to these futures, and you got to think that these kids' best years are probably going to be 2 or 3 years away.
mhm.
But that's fine. That's fine. You want to build a solid product here, and if you can add a solid defenseman in that round when you've already gotten two forwards early in the draft,
Yeah.
like you have to take that opportunity. And I think
How are
Billy
we?
Baylor.
How are we when it comes to like in net? Like, how are we in net?
Joey Costanzo had an up and down year. His first year with the club, he played well, but he also had a lot better defensive group in front of him that
Mhm.
that helped him win a lot more games. Like a couple years ago, Windsor, he might let in 4 goals, but Windsor would win 6-4 kind of thing
Yeah.
when they won the Western Conference title 2 years ago. But last year, he didn't have as good of a group in front of him, and it showed. There was a lot of lopsided games, and there was a lot of games where Joey did not look as good as he did the previous year. And I think that they have, addressed that with him. Like Max Denoso came in from that trade at the trade deadline, and he
Yeah.
played quite a bit.
Hmm.
And so, as far as I can tell, Joey Costanzo is the guy right now. But they also picked up a guy in the U18 draft in goal as well. So let's see what the camp, what the competition is like in camp right now. The net is wide open for the Windsor Spitfires right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Crazy,
there,
man.
yeah, there's one more spot that they can fill with a draft, and that's the CHL import draft. That's coming up in July. So
Mhm.
they have one European player on their roster right now. They can have two. So that one player is Joe Eichler. He's a defenseman from Czechia, and
Nice.
he's draft eligible. I don't think he's going to get drafted, but we'll wait for that a little later to talk about that. But so they can add one more European player to their team to fit their limit of two. So there's a lot that can still happen here in the
Wow.
next couple of months. So
So when it
it's an
comes
exciting
to
time.
the like all the OHL, because I'm not too familiar, so they're allowed to have two Europeans, right?
Yep. So
And
they're allowed to have
how
two
many
European players.
overagers?
So you can have four overagers on your team to start the year, but then after the trade deadline, there's a deadline in before the regular trade deadline. The day before is the overager deadline, because after that day you have to go down to three overagers on your team.
Wow. So you have to let one go or trade one?
Yeah, let one go, trade one. You have to have your number down to three. And so last year, that's where they had James Jodwin. They released him early on in the regular season and they sent him down to Trenton in the OJHL.
Hmm.
And so that was like he was the number four guy. He wasn't getting a lot of playing time. So they released him. I want to say it was like in November. And they just rode with three overage players. They had at the trade deadline, they brought back Pasquale Zito to fill one of those overage spots.
Yeah, I
And
see.
after 5 games, he left the team. So for the last portion of the year, they only had two overagers to fill those spots. And those are important spots that you have to fill if you want to be
Yeah.
a competitive team, right? They
Well,
had
yeah,
Jabril.
those are your big dogs.
Absolutely, yeah. And Zito had a really good first couple of games for them when he came back. He had a 5 point night, I want to say, his first game
Wow.
back. And but it just didn't work out for his own reasons. He left the team, and the team had to deal with that for the rest of the year. They only had Jabril Torre and Max Donoso as overage players for the
Mm.
remainder of the year. But they did a pretty good job. So that's not too bad. So in terms of how the season went, I don't think that was the I don't think it was that as big of a detriment
Mm.
because you opened up the ice for a lot of your younger players that who did improve quite a bit down the stretch there. So
Wow. Still though. Whew.
mhm.
So there's a good lot
Yeah,
of change coming.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like Jabril Torre's gone, Max Donoso's gone. So those are three spots right off the bat that need to be filled by like three or four spots that need to be filled by 5 or 6 guys that may or may not make the team, right? So
Mhm.
they had one guy, Valentin Jugan, who was the player they got from Saginaw. He was an overage player. They let him know he was coming into an overage season, pardon me. So they let him know, say, hey, like we're not gonna keep you on the squad. So he went back home to Russia to go play over there. And so
Mhm.
we've got a couple spots to fill now with those overage players like Ryan Abraham, Noah Morneau, a couple of other guys that have been on the on the edges of making the team. So let's see how their summer went and see if they can snag one or two of those overage spots. Like a lot of guys that were splitting their time from junior B and
Yeah.
getting the call up a couple times a year to come play for the Spits last year. So we'll see how they do and
Mhm.
if they can improve and they can make an impact on this team.
Wow. How are we when it comes to like how many guys on the team do we got who can scrap? Because let's face it, we got to have a couple, one or two guys, or are we very tough, or are we just kind of,
Like Liam Greentree, I think I saw him drop the gloves once or twice this year,
yeah, but that's
but
not
it's
the guy
different
we want.
because no, no, no. But like the rules have been slanted towards not fighting so much that you hardly ever see it anymore. It's
Mhm.
really kind of like just like a kind of a frustration kind of situation where a lot of the times when you're getting fights because you're not getting so fights regularly, you'll get more than one fight in one stoppage, and that's where people will get suspended, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to see you're not going to see a fight just on its own. Usually it's kind of things are boiling over and someone starts a fight in the corner and then someone starts a fight in front of the
Yeah.
net and someone starts a fight at the blue
Yeah.
line
I
and
love when they get going like multiples.
yeah, but it's not good for the players though because
No.
that's where they get multiple suspensions. If you get same second fight, same stoppage, it's at least 2 or 3 games.
Then you just say,
So
okay, well, when this puck hits the ice again, when the puck drops again, then we'll go.
yeah, um, but like the most talented physical player that we have on the team is probably AJ Spellacy. He's got the body. He's 6'2". He's about 180 pounds. He can throw him if he needs to,
Mhm.
but for the
Like,
most part,
like I'm not
he
saying we have to have a like bona fide like goon, but I just mean
no,
like if something happens to one of our guys, like we got to have somebody that can go out there and take
yeah.
care of that too, right?
And there's a couple defensemen there what that will take take things into their own hands if they need to kind of thing, but it's more so like kind of a tie up or a
Mhm.
face wash kind of thing. Like you just don't see it in the OJ. You just don't see fighting as much in the OHL anymore. So it's hard to say like, okay, well this guy's a scrapper, this guy's
Yeah,
not kind
I'm
of thing,
so
right?
used to the old school way. I think that it's like because
40.
even when I was playing, it was like we had a couple guys on the team who can scrap, and that was just the way it
Yeah.
was. It was
Hmm.
that was just hockey.
Yeah, things have changed the last even in the time that I've coached. I mean, that I've covered the league. Like I've been covering the league for now 10 years about now, which
Yeah.
seems crazy to say, but it's true. Like even the fighting since I've started has gone way down. So you would see maybe one or two every other game, but now you're seeing one every 5, 6, 7 games, maybe.
Boo!
Unless you're playing London or
Well, okay.
Sarnia or someone like that, that
Mm.
things get riled up pretty quick.
Damn, eh?
Hmm.
What else you got over there? I know you got some
I got some
what
notes.
he's got
Um,
you actually write like you physically write out notes. You're such a nerd.
yeah, well, it's just I take that from my newspaper
Oh
days. You got to put it down on paper.
yeah.
You got to put it down on paper.
I can't because my writing's horrible, so that's why I'm like I could write like something down and go back to read it like 3 hours later and have not a fucking clue on what it says.
That's funny. The only thing that I was going to talk about was we do have some Windsor Spitfires that are getting ready for the NHL draft. The
Mhm.
draft is in a month, about from the time that we recorded this. It's on June 28th. And I just wanted to play a little game with you
Oh boy.
to see where you lie on predictions for the draft. So I'm
All
going
right.
to basically give you an over under kind of a situation. We're gonna talk about who the player is, where they're projected to go, and where they're gonna go.
All
Okay.
right. All right.
All right. So the first player is gonna be Liam Greentree from the Windsor
Oh,
Spitfires.
okay.
So for those of you who don't know, Liam Greentree is the captain of the Spits. He's left-handed forward. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. In 64 games this year, he had 36 goals, 54 points. I mean, 54 assists for 90 points, which is a good year. It's a great
Great
year.
year. Yeah.
He's ranked number 17 overall prospect in the NHL draft. Okay.
Hmm.
So he's ranked number 17. And the first mock draft that I have seen, what spot do you think he is projected to go? The first mock draft. He's ranked 17. And for those who don't know, the Detroit Red Wings have number 15 overall.
Hmm.
So he's ranked 17. Do you think he goes higher or lower than 17?
I'm hoping that he goes higher because to be honest with you, I want the Wings to grab him at 15.
Yep.
But I just think with some teams love with European players and everything, I think might push him down a little more.
Okay, so you're going under 17.
I'm gonna go under, yeah. So I'm gonna
Okay.
say he's gonna go between 17 and 22.
Okay, that's fair. And that's where quite a few people have him going. The one mock draft that I did see, he was projected to go number 16 overall to St. Louis, which I could definitely see.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
I don't think I don't think that's a stretch at all. And another one that I saw had him going number 19 to the Vegas Golden
Okay.
Knights.
Do you think is there a shot that he goes with the Wings, you think?
I think 100% there is a shot. Obviously the Detroit Red Wings have a track record of taking European players with
Yeah.
their higher picks, right? A lot of North American players, like Nate Danielson, they took
Mm.
him this past year, but they are more likely to go with a European player. They're mocked to take a Swedish player whose name escapes me right now, which so I apologize. We can do that on another
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
But he's yeah, so he's right there though.
Come on,
So I
Stevie.
I could he's ranked 17, but if in the right situation, I could see him moving up inside 15 to maybe like 13 or 14. I don't think he'll move inside the top 10. I just don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's there right now. But I think that he is very solidly in like the mid first round
Yeah.
category.
Oh, for sure.
If he goes past 20, I will be
Yeah.
surprised.
One thing that keeps me hopeful about him in the Wings is Stevie likes a big body. So that's the one
Absolutely.
thing that so
Six
hopefully,
two, 200 pounds.
but
They,
I think
they've
he's
they've
gonna go
taken bigger
after.
guys
Yeah.
recently. They've had Rasmussen who's played on the wing and he's a big body.
Yeah.
So it just depends on kind of where Liam fills in, so to speak,
Mhm.
right? If when he grows into that body. So
Before you move on from him, do you talk to him and stuff at all?
I've never interviewed Liam before.
Okay.
So I know
Do you have a contact with him?
I'm sure that we could talk
All
to
right, all
Nick
right,
Walsh
all
from
right.
the
I
Spits
know
and
you
see if he
already
wants to
know.
come on.
I know you already
So
know where I'm going with this.
absolutely. Hey man, I'm always down for it. I
All right.
haven't I haven't interviewed him yet, but
Yet.
I'm looking forward to getting involved with that a little bit more and learning
Yet.
more about our players as we go over. Because in my role with the studio host, like most of the time it's not really necessary for me to talk to players. I'm more
Yeah.
so like analyzing trends and talking about, like what they've done and kind of thing. If I do need to talk to anybody, I will set something up and have the head coach call me, but
Yeah.
that's few and far in between because I do it's kind of like one time things, right? Because
Yeah.
there can be a huge gap in between the amount of games that I do. So
We'll
yeah,
see.
that's where I'm at right now.
All
We'll
right.
see.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that though. So, next player that's on the list to get drafted is AJ Spellacy.
Hmm.
So AJ is a forward. He is 6'2". He's 190 pounds. He plays with some sandpaper in his game. He can kill penalties for you. He had 21 goals in the OHL this year, 17 assists for 38 points. But the one thing, that you need to realize is that this guy scored 5 shorthanded goals this year,
Wow. So
and
he's.
that's and he played on the power play a lot because that team struggled, right? And
Mhm.
so to be able to say that you got a quarter of your goals on the shorthanded, like
Yeah.
that's gotta put your name out to teams,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
If you can kill penalties and you can chip one in every once in a while, like you're gonna find yourself in a lineup at some level of hockey,
Oh yeah,
right?
and you're gonna
Coming
get
right out of this league.
paid.
Yeah, so 38 points, like I said, 5 shorthanded goals. He was ranked the number 72 North American skater in the draft, right now. He jumped 53 spots from the
Wow.
midterm rank. So he was ranked 125 at the midseason ranking, right? And he jumped up to number 72. So that's very strong. It's a very strong showing in the second half of the year. So I'm excited to see what he can do. So he is projected to like I said, he's the 72nd ranked North American skater. So let's round down and say he's late third, fourth round pick. Do you think he goes under or over the fourth round? So fourth round would be like in the early like 120s.
Oh, I think a guy like that, penalty killing specialist, essentially, you're going higher.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah, there's got to be a one team out there that is hurting and they're like killing,
Hmm.
like, you know what I mean? That's just not a good team on the penalty kill. So
Yeah.
to me, like, I'm trying to think who was horrible on the penalty kill this year.
Sorry, just to clarify, top four, like a fourth round pick is still a top 100 pick.
Yeah, for
So like
sure.
so
It's
yeah,
yeah, you're not getting no slouch, I'm saying,
no,
but
for
like,
sure. So like fourth round would be like 96 to
yeah,
like 130, like 128,
yeah, but
130.
a penalty killing specialist, though, that's like five shorthanded goals. Like teams are gonna look at that and be like,
And he's a big body
well,
too.
yeah.
He's not afraid to throw them.
And I'm sure
He
he'll
will
block
toss them.
shots. He'll be a nail gun, and
100%.
yeah. So honestly, I
And
think
his speed, Anthony, is what I think like will help him get to the next level.
so.
His ability.
He's ranked 72 right now.
That's North American skaters, so that's not
Okay,
including
so
international
so
players.
with draft, like what pick is he projected like overall wise? Like what are we looking at? He's
So the only mock draft that I found him drafted in is he is mocked to go 203 to the
okay.
Philadelphia Flyers, though.
I'm gonna say he's gonna go. So they had him at 203.
Yeah, to Philly, which I think fits.
I'm gonna put him in at like one between 185 and 192.
185, 192.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that being a if you can kill fucking penalties, man, you like you can't teach that. You
No,
know
that's
what I
just
mean?
it's just pure instinct
Yeah.
essentially, right?
So
It's good reaction skills and
yeah,
it's instinct and
and
it's
I
just being able to lay your body down the line and block
and I
shots.
think that alone is gonna shove him up a little bit in the draft. Not a lot, but it's gonna push him up a little bit.
Yeah, like I thought that 203 was pretty low, but I
Mm.
agree with you 185 to 192. I'm going to go up 10 spots more and I'm going to say
Ooh.
175 to 185. Is that
You
fair?
just you just price is right me right there. You just like
Well, I want to see how close we get
1500,
too.
1501, Bob.
Yeah. I want to see how close we get because I want to
Yeah,
see
for sure.
what
Are
our
you
skills
writing these
are.
down too?
I am.
Oh, I
I am.
love
So
it. I
you
love it.
thought because we just did over under on Green
Okay.
Tree. You
Yeah.
said under set. Yeah, he'll be below
Yes.
17.
What did I say? I said
You said before number 22. You said like
yes.
between
Yes.
17 and 22.
Yes.
Okay. That's fair. And I think he could go as early as like 13, but I think he'll go like between 15 and 19.
I'm hoping he goes 15 to the Red Wings, to be honest
Me
with you.
too. I honestly personally would love that. So right now, like after those two players, like we're in like kind of fringe territory where they could get drafted, they could become undrafted free agents, right?
Mhm.
So it's okay if we don't nail these,
Yeah.
but we just want to talk about our players that are going into the NHL draft and talk about what attributes they have and how they can help a pro team. So there are, let me just double check here. We have one, two, three, four more players that we're going to talk about.
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, we'll shoot
All
him.
right. So first player we have is Cole Davis, and Cole is someone that impressed a lot of people, a lot of scouts in the regular season. A lot of times, scouts from other teams would come in and they'll talk to broadcasters and stuff, and talk to
Mhm.
Manny Pava, who does the Spits color commentary on their radio, and he does some TV stuff for them too.
Okay. Yeah.
He said that he gets asked a lot about Cole Davis because Cole is a solid player. He can contribute offense. He's only 5'10", 175, but I don't think that kind of hurts him. I think that like that's just kind of his game is that
Yeah.
he's going to have to work for the puck anyway. He spent the year before he spent a lot of time with the LaSalle Vipers and he did a good job. He had a good year for them. So this was his first year in the OHL full
Mhm.
time. He played 63 games. He had 20 goals. He had 21 assists for 41 points. I feel like that's solid
Yeah,
numbers.
that's not bad at
Yeah.
all.
No, so from the three guys that we've talked about, like Green Tree 36 goals, Spellacy 21 goals, and Cole Davis 20 goals. If you can score, like I feel like you should get a contract to go play somewhere, whether that's as an undrafted free agent or you're maybe a lower pick.
E-
That's it's completely up to the organizations.
even in the coast.
That's what I mean. Yeah, ECHL, there's nothing wrong with that. Or,
No.
you're or maybe you use that education package and you go play in the U Sports
Yeah.
circuit. And a lot of those, we'll talk about this another day, but NCAA, they're letting kids from the CHL use their eligibility at NCAA schools now. So
Yeah, I heard
you're gonna
that.
see a lot of guys going from the CHL and then going, at 20 years old, then they're gonna go play in the NCAA, which
Yeah.
is gonna be interesting for sure. So Cole was ranked number 137 as the North American skater. And the reason that's significant is because he was ranked 184 at the midterm mark
Hmm.
and he jumped 47 spots. So if you
Wow.
can jump 50 spots in the second half of the year, that means that you impressed quite a few people.
For sure.
So he's ranked 137 right now. There's only 224 picks in the NHL draft, right? Because it's 7 rounds. So do you think he goes higher or lower than the seventh round? Is what I'm going to ask you. Do you think he's going to
Mm.
get picked, or do you think he's going to be a UDFA? And a lot of good players are
Yeah.
UDFAs.
No,
Like a
I
lot of good
know.
players that go on and play good pro don't
I
get drafted. Also, if you don't get drafted this year, that doesn't mean you can't get drafted next year.
yeah. And would he be back with the Spits too? Like if
Yes.
he okay. I'm gonna go UDFA on him right now.
Yeah.
Just because I just think another year here won't hurt him at all.
Yeah.
You know what I
From what I
mean?
can tell from his eligibility, he'll be here at least another 2 years.
Yeah. So and then I think next year will be a completely different story, but I'm gonna call
Yeah.
him to have a unreal year coming up.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
feel
So,
something big from him is gonna come this year. I think he's gonna have a breakout season with
yeah.
the Spits, and he's gonna be great. And but I don't. I think he's gonna go UDFA this year. But if he gets drafted, fantastic. Don't get me
Yep.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I could just see maybe getting another year with the Spits, and then next year being the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for people that they know, like Matt Maggio didn't get picked up in his draft year. He had a
Hmm.
really good year as his 18 year, as his 18 year.
Yeah.
and he ended up becoming a fifth round pick from the New York Islanders. So
Mhm.
that's just goes to show that's kind of
Yeah.
the steps that those guys can take there. Um, three more. We've got one person that surprised me that I saw when I was looking at mock drafts. One person that was on a mock draft that I didn't expect was Carson Woodall, and he's the one that does Woody's hoodies.
I've heard of him.
He's a left defenseman. He's 5'11", he's 180. Um, sorry, he's 5'11", 160. This past year, he played 57 games. He had 6 goals, 23 assists for 29 points. And he was unranked in the early polls, but I did see him projected to be a pick by somebody. So I
Mhm.
decided to throw this in because who knows? You never know if someone's going to take somebody. So I'm just gonna. Do you think over under that he's projected to go number 175 or lower? You
Yeah,
think
I could see him right in that range.
Yeah, so the mock draft that I found, Carson Woodall, like I said, left defenseman for Windsor, 5'11", 160. He was
Mhm.
mocked number 159 to go to the New York Rangers.
Oh, wow.
So that was the big surprise that I found during my research, but I could see it fit. Unless it's a different Carson Woodall
Mhm.
that they're talking about.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that too because he does have some attributes that could help him get to the pro game, and I
for
feel
sure.
like he moves the puck well enough that he could definitely get a sniff somewhere. So
Mhm.
if he's not a UDFA, if he gets drafted late, I think you take it and run with it.
Oh.
If you don't get drafted and you get asked to go to some rookie camps,
Mhm.
you take the opportunity and you see where your chips lie because a lot of guys, like you said, get picked up later or don't get drafted and then
I
get signed immediately. So
I think he'll get picked.
yeah, me too. Eventually, if not this year, then maybe next year.
Mhm.
So two more. We've got Anthony Cristoforo. He was a high draft pick from the Windsor Spitfires a couple years ago. He's a left defenseman. He's 5'11", 180. He can move the puck really well. I'm going to give you his last 2 year stats because they're very similar.
Okay.
2 years ago, he had 63 games, 6 goals, 35 assists for 41 points. This past year, he had to take on a bigger role with the team as being an older guy, getting more ice. He had 67 games he played. He only missed one game in the regular
Wow.
season and he had 7 goals, 31 assists for 38 points. So like basically the same season he had with them. He was ranked number 194 as a North American skater, and his was a big drop because he dropped from 101 at the midterm rankings.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he had a tough stretch or what those scouts saw, or if this person what they saw in the trends of his game, whoever mocked this. I'm not sure, but he did get mocked to be picked. So over under, Anthony, do you think he's in the seventh round? Over under seventh round.
Like,
So that would be like 190 would be like the beginning of the seventh round.
okay, I'm gonna put him between 193 and 198.
Okay. 193, 198. He is projected to go number 211 to the Nashville Predators,
Mhm.
which
So
I could
I'm gonna give him a little bit of a bump then, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could see him being a top 200 pick because a lot of his ability is based on his skating.
mhm.
He's a very solid skater, and his stick is very strong too. Like he knocks down a lot of like centering passes and things like
Yeah.
that. So I'm looking forward to seeing his game grow. Maybe we'll see if maybe he does get a late round draft pick, maybe goes to camp and gets some juice flowing
Yeah.
that'll get him going and we see a really productive year this year. But
Mhm.
he's just one of those players where you always like, and this isn't like to talk about, like you always think he's got a little bit more. Like there's
Yeah.
always a little bit more that you can see. He strings together good passes. He'll have good shifts, like he'll have like a really good stretch. But obviously, as a defenseman, sometimes you're gonna get beat on some plays, and sometimes that just happens.
Mhm.
So that's where that would be. So that would be my guess for Anthony Cristoforo there. So yeah, we had one more player who's eligible to be drafted. I don't think this player is going to be drafted, but I'm going to talk about him anyway. This is Joe Eichler. who was he's right on the cusp of being ranked to be drafted. So he's a right defenseman, 6 foot 190. He's from Czechia, like I talked about earlier.
Mhm.
He's a defensive player. He can bring the wood. He can hit you pretty hard. He played 64 games this year. He had 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. So he was ranked number 146 in the midterm rankings, and he went down to 226. So he's ranked to be just outside of UDFA. And reason why I brought him up is because he holds one of the Euro spots for the Windsor Spitfires, and they can add one more spot in the CHL import draft. But do you think Joe Eichler gets in at the bottom of the draft, or do you think he's ranked? He's going to be a UDFA as well?
At this point, I'm gonna say UDFA at this
Yeah.
point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
And
not
that's where he's ranked.
knocking,
And
yeah,
that's where he's ranked to go. Yeah,
yeah,
that's where
I'm
he's
not
mocked to
like
go.
knocking his game or anything. I could see him definitely getting some invites, considering him being more on the physical side. Teams are looking for that big, solid guy who can hit, and
Mm-hmm.
you could slot him in even if he's playing in, you know, the coast or wherever. Even if
For
you could
sure.
slot him in on someone's third, fourth line or whatever. What does he play D or forward again?
He plays D. So he's
Okay,
he's six
so
foot 190. He's a
okay,
right hand
yeah,
defenseman.
so you could put him on your third or fourth pairing and play him with a grizzly old vet that can, show him the ropes, and I could see him like doing that. But would he have more time with the Spits next year, or is he an
Yeah,
overage?
he should have at least 1 or 2 more years with them.
Oh, so he's
And
got
this was
time still.
he's got a lot of time. He's got a lot of time, and you could see like his game was developing more so toward the end of the season last
Mhm.
year. He was developing a shot from the point that had eyes, that could get through some screens, and he's
That's
placing it in the right spot.
yeah, that's
So I
big.
think that, and I think that the way that he plays, he's a physical guy. I feel like he could really play some top 4 minutes for them this year.
Mhm.
And he might not get drafted, but that doesn't mean he won't get picked up or get sent
Yeah,
to rookie camp, like I
for
said.
sure.
So
Yeah.
like all of these guys will most like I
At
would be
some point.
surprised if I would be surprised if any of them didn't get a rookie camp invite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's our game. That's our Price is Right. Ant
Wow.
picks, and I criticize his
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Like, I don't like one of the things I've always said at this show too is like I don't really know the Spits. Like, I feel like I need to get to know the Spits more, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like considering they're right here too. And I go to games and stuff once in a while, but just feel like we need to be dialed in with it. And that's why, like I said, adding you on here now is like now we're like doing
We're
everything here.
we
So
we're hitting on all cylinders, my friend, and
mhm.
I'm really excited to continue to make more segments like this and talk about our local Windsor Spitfires, and of course, maybe next time we'll get in on our University of Windsor recruiting class too, because that's
Yeah,
really important. I
yeah,
think that
for
program
sure.
can do well this year.
For sure. Also, is there anything coming up that the Spits have coming up? Any camps or anything that we need to know about or
Um,
anything like
I
that that you know of?
will I will look into their schedule, and next week I will have a better idea of what their off season look like.
Mhm.
But as of right now, we're waiting to see if we get a head coaching announcement in the next couple of weeks, and before we get into main camp and in August. So,
Beauty.
all right,
Beauty.
thank you
Yeah,
very much
this
for
year too, man. We're definitely gonna hit some games as a crew,
yeah.
and we'll go like as a crew, and then like I said, we can essentially be there like making notes and doing a whole bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, I'll
So
show you the ropes. It'll be fun. It's a good time. It's a fun team to cover. It's a fun league to cover, and there's a lot of talent on the ice. So
yeah.
it's honestly it's well worth it. The
Mhm.
time you put into it is what you will get out of it for sure.
Beauty.
So I'm looking
Well,
forward to that.
I will say once again, welcome to the squad,
Thanks for
and
having me, man.
until next week, we'll hammer her out again, buddy.
All right, thanks for watching Hat Trick Hockey, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, brother.
I lost my